So we're just holding in. Call this meeting to order. Let's start with I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. We are looking for a motion that the minutes of the previous meeting be accepted as presented.
So moved. Second.
You call for a vote, please, Karen.
Mr. Bowlers,
Yes.
Mr. North,
Yes.
Mr. Pisarcik,
Yes.
Mr. Weaver.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion that the jail report for May 2022 be accepted as presented. So,
Second.
you call for a vote on that, please, Karen.
Mr. Bowlers.
Yes.
Mr. North,
Yes.
Mr. Pisarcik, Mr. Weaver.
Yes.
We are looking for a motion that the financial report for May 2022 be accepted as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Call for a vote on that, please, Karen.
Mr. Bowlers,
Yes.
Mr. North,
Yes.
Mr. Pisarcik,
Yes.
Mr. Weaver.
Yes.
Okay, old business. There really wasn't anything from before, I think, that we needed to linger on. So, does anybody have anything they want to bring up, mention? We'll go into new business. I think maybe we could just let you roll with some things that's going on up there. I think it'd be very interesting for everybody to hear.
Yeah, I just, I'm the deputy warden for the people listening online or on the phone there. I've kind of headed up the programs aspect of the jail for the inmates, and I've been in talks with CareerLink currently. They're looking to have group workshops to improve employability upon release for the inmates, as well as a reentry curriculum designed to help them transition from incarceration back into the workforce a lot easier. Also, it speaks with Narcotics Anonymous. Looks like things are finally gaining some traction there, and they're hoping to be set up with us in the next couple months to start having group meetings on a regular basis for inmates. We've known for years that that's probably our biggest demographic in there is inmates struggling from substance abuse, whether it be alcohol or narcotics, and it's good to have them coming up here. And additionally, I have just started talking to the Clearfield Jefferson Drug and Alcohol Commission on getting some relapse prevention groups started up there as well. So I don't have anything else to add at this point, but I'll keep you posted moving forward on the developments and when things start, how they're going.
Do we want to ask questions on anything now? That way it's fresh with you, press-wise, or, I mean, it's just up to you guys. We can wait till later. But if you want to ask anything now, feel free to do that.
I don't think I have any questions right now.
Did you want to add anything to that?
No, nailed it.
Okay, good. So the work release program that's going on up there, so we've kind of got to talk, a little bit, some of the other people could hear, so, but it seems to be very, very effective. Just maybe share some light on that. I know the judge's thought process on that was if there's a work release program, people were making money, they're paying their fines.
Right.
And that's been very good. So tell us about the program. How many people's out there? What's going on that way?
The work release program is actually going very well. As a lot of people already know, we are the only county in Pennsylvania that I'm aware of. We've never stopped our work release program through the entire pandemic. It's still going on. It's actually very effective. We do have onesies and twosies kind of not do a great job on work release, but for the most part, I'd say about 80-90% of work release, it actually ends up pretty well. We have them going out to various different companies in Jefferson County and some in Clearfield County. It's actually a very good program. It's working well. people are trying to turn their life around from whatever mistakes they may have made. And like you said, sir, you know, the county's getting their fine, the inmates are paying off their fines. They're able to send money home for their families to pay the bills while they're incarcerated. So, I mean, it's working well. The biggest problem we have at the jail, honestly, is just work release housing units. There's just not enough beds for that particular group of inmates. That's our biggest issue. If we had larger housing units for that particular program, we more than likely have more inmates on work release. So.
At any given time, we currently have, what, a quarter and a third of our inmates are typically on work release.
Yeah,
So
20% now is on work release at any time.
So how many's on work release now? Just give us a.
I'm gonna say 18.
18.
18. There's 13 males, 5 females right now. Yeah. And our current population is 113. So it's doing pretty good. It's under 20% now, but it's getting there. Like I said, the more they work, the more fines they pay off, the quicker they get released. So.
I have a question.
Sure.
If an employer is interested, how do they identify themselves?
First step would honestly be reach out to probation. They kind of spearhead our entire work release process. The judge and probation will actually reach out to us at the jail. We'll fill out a packet, send it back down to probation, and then they kind of go through the approval process of where they're going to be working at, who's going to be coming to pick them up to make sure they're licensed and insured drivers driving them, make sure it's not the victim driving them to work, not a co-defendant driving them to work. They kind of vet the whole process. But that would be my first step, is just reach out to probation and get the ball rolling from there. As long as, you know, obviously the judge orders that they're work release eligible. So as soon as he comes out with that, probation takes over and we kind of give our 5 cents.
So you can email me and I can take that and get it in front of whoever needs to see it, right?
So you had indicated that there could probably be more for work release up there if you had, there's no way to I mean, you guys know it.
There's so much comings and goings out of that facility. If we, like right now today, we could move that work release to a different housing unit. And then tomorrow we could have enough general housing inmates that are too big for the old work release block. So if I swap them, we might have too many general housing and we only have 4 people in a housing unit that holds 24. So it's a lot of movement. It is a lot of work to continuously switch them around and change housing units. It's really tough to do. But logistically, yeah, we could make it happen. It's really tough to do that. Like I said, every day we have releases up there. Every day we have new commitments and every day we have releases.
And one other thing I think is important is the COVID issue. Talk about how you've handled that. It seems to have went pretty well for COVID is still out there.
Yeah, we actually did have an uptick again here about a month ago. We had a couple inmates test positive. It's the same as before. As soon as they would test positive, they go into immediate isolation or quarantine housing units. And we test them twice a week. So just to kind of keep track of it and see where they're at. And help, obviously, deter the spread of it. We've been all over it. The jail and also Prime Care Medical, we've been working hand in hand with that to do everything we possibly can to help the spread. I think the most we ever had up there in the last 2 years was 5 positive inmates at any given time, which I think is pretty good. I mean, compared to other facilities and other workplaces and stuff, we've done a pretty good job.
We were just at our annual conference, judges and court administrators across the Commonwealth. And what Dustin has done at JCJ compared to the other county facilities across the Commonwealth is remarkable. They talked about, specifically, there was not a session, but like a little round top breakout session. And they spoke about how the clusters, they would just get overwhelmed with it. It started with 5 or 6, and then the next day was 15 positives, and then 30. So how they segregated up there is, now again, we're not comparing apples to apples, because that's Allegheny County and Philly, some of those jails, you just, they're on top of each other. But comparing class 6 counties around the way to how we handled it and the numbers that we had. We did something right.
Yeah, as soon as an inmate would come back and say, we noticed, they would look sick or they would complain about not feeling well, instant rapid test. Prime Care would provide us with an instant COVID test, get them tested positive, their stuff, their person and all of their stuff that they had, totally quarantine it all, isolate it, go back in with our, I don't know what the technical name is, we call them the Ghostbuster packs that the county has, I don't even know what they are. Yeah, we'd go in and sanitize that entire area, and then we would give it 24 to 48 hours, and then we would go back into the same housing unit that individual came from, and we'd rapid test every single person that came in contact with them to see if anything was going on. And then if one of those were happened to pop positive for COVID, we did the same thing again, all over again. We just stayed right with it the entire time. Basically, it's really just common sense. I know the inmates weren't happy with it. They didn't like to be segregated or on isolation blocks, but it's just something we had to do to keep the overall health of the facility going. And it worked. I'm not saying that it can't backfire or something like that. It has worked up to this point. Everybody out there has done a really good job combating it.
But yeah, our officers have been great about making sure
Absolutely.
that they wear their PPE when they're supposed to be and following all the directives that come out. So, I mean, they do their part. The inmates, they don't really have much choice in doing their part, but I don't know. I think getting through the whole thing, our experiments seem to work anyway.
Well, I know the court system also helped us out too, because whenever they would take inmates down for sentencings or gag runs or something like that, they would segregate. We'd call down and say, hey, this is what's going on. We have 2 positive here. And they would make different trips they wouldn't put everybody together that I know some of the other courthouses and stuff were doing. They just put everybody in a van and take them all. They worked with us, segregating those people that were sick and not sick and video conferencing and things like that. So overall, I think the entire county played a huge part in the success just of the jail. Everybody, 911, everybody. So,
We honored those with stuff whenever we were running low.
joint effort.
Thank you.
Okay, any other thing under new business we want to talk about?
Speaking of COVID.
Yeah, now that it's been.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, we'll go with questions from the press there. Any questions?
Yeah, so you're talking about how if you had more housing for work release, you could have more. Can you maybe explain a little bit what the difference in the housing is or why you have to have different housing for that?
We house all our work release together, and the way that the jail is laid out, we still have to have enough room for our Gen Pop inmates and to be able to keep their classification levels separate as needed. So like, you can't put minimum security inmates with maximum security inmates. So just the way that we have to divvy up the general population, it kind of locks us into these are our 2 work release units. This is our male work release unit and this is our female work release unit. So
And you can't put it, I mean, it would not be, you could do it, but it would not be a good idea to put a work release inmate with a general housing unit inmate because they have access to the outside world where, I'm not saying they would, but they have access to contraband and other things that they could bring back in and then distribute them amongst, all the other general housing unit inmates. So it's a fairly complex system, but like you said, we have so many different classifications up there. We have minimum, maximum, we have suicide, level 1, level 2, level 3, males, females. I mean, there's so many different classifications of an incarcerated individual that you have to split them up. So there are times we have a housing unit up there with 24 beds and we might have 10 people in it, just because that group meets that classification. It's
What allows an inmate to become part of work release? Like what criteria do they have to meet for that?
the first thing we have to go through the court system, be recommended for work release eligibility. And then they kind of take it from there. They determine if they're eligible. They have to find a job. I know Lenny Calhoun helps a lot with that. He'll take them out to orientation and stuff like that, or he'll bring them in job applications from wherever. They just got to meet the right criteria. That's all it is.
And then it sounded like when you were talking about the different employers that come in. So any employer can kind of sign up and try to go through the process of becoming an employer for work release.
Become more of your
Yeah,
house.
there's a pile of criteria as Dustin referred to. It has to work logistically for us. We had an agreement with some transportation previously that has since been internalized. So Mr. Calhoun is running every different direction with these gentlemen and young ladies that are trying to remedy their fines and costs and everything else. So it's not like we could work every aspect of the county. Paris has been a huge employer of ours. They were kind of the first dog in the bowl. They've been very cooperative with us. So we've kind of worked around them but no, we're always looking to expand that program and offer more services to the community, because it is a two-way street that's helping us and hopefully it's helping them, especially in these employment times. But why don't you have my email from the baseball stuff, so why don't you email me later? I think it would be, for this story especially, I think it would be great advertisement for the program to see if there are employers out there. We don't want to turn anybody away. We'd love to have a conversation with anybody and everybody. But I think it would be appropriate to have Lenny involved in it.
Okay.
Because I don't want to speak for him and
He's
make
the
promises.
work release guru.
Yeah, and like I said, he's doing it all. He's spread really thin as it is. I don't want to lump anything else on his plate that he can't handle, but I also want to make sure that we're at least as much of an asset to the rest of the county as we possibly can.
Now, is he employed with the county, or what is his role?
He's a probation officer.
Okay. You said his name is Lenny Calhoun?
Yeah.
Anything else?
That was all my questions.
All right. Do they have anything they want to add? Okay, we'll look for a motion, the meeting be adjourned. So,
Second.
all right, thanks, everybody.
We need a county baseball team. How do we make that happen?
A county baseball team?
County